reveals a syndicate is defrauding the government of billions of pesos. Not only that, high-ranking public officials are part of the scam. Our Anjo Alimario has more.
9 billion pesos. That's the amount allegedly stolen from the government involving a road right-of-way scam in General Santos City. Judge Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre says the National Bureau of Investigation has a witness who is providing details. How does the fraud work? Aguirre says the syndicate submitted to the Department of Public Works and Highways fake titles in the name of non-existent landowners. This is to allow them to claim just compensation from the expropriation of land which will be supposedly occupied by government projects.
We have information that one claim for just compensation amounted to 29 million pesos.
The witness, a private citizen, named those involved in the scam, including a certain Nelson T., a relative of the country's former ambassador to China.
Our witness further revealed that Mr. Nelson T., the financier of the group, is a close relative of Domingo Lee, a Philippine ambassador to China, and is supposedly close to former President Benigno Aquino III.
The witness also tagged former Public Works Secretary Rogelio Singson and former Budget Secretary Butch Abad.
DPWH Secretary Rogelio Singson, who apparently approved and requested the release of payment of fake road right-of-way claims. Former Budget Secretary Florencio Abad, who apparently approved the release of payment for illegal road right-of-way.
Aguirre believes the two department secretaries benefited from the mess.
Yun ang implication Talagang kumitang lahat.
In a statement, Abad says the accusation is baseless and not true. He adds he and his former department were never part of the negotiations. As for Singson, he says he looked into the documents first. But what's clear, Aguirre says, there's collusion. Aguirre has instructed the NBI to continue its investigation to strengthen the case. Anjo Alimario, CNN Philippines.
Secretary Aguirre also ordered the National Bureau of Investigation to investigate the alleged misuse of billions of pesos in public funds. Aguirre wants a special task force that will reopen the probe on the Disbursement Acceleration Program, or DAP, and the Priority Development Assistance Fund, or PDAF scams. Aguirre says new evidence surfaced. PDAF, also known as pork barrel, was money allocated in the national budget that could be spent at the discretion of lawmakers. The Supreme Court declared it unconstitutional in November 2013 because it encroached on the duty of the executive branch to enact the national budget. In October 2011, the Aquino administration set up the DAP to speed up spending by realigning government savings. The Supreme Court in July 2014 declared specific acts of this program as unconstitutional. They used to be friends, but now President Duterte has signed Proclamation 360, canceling peace negotiations with the communist rebels. The party's founder is accusing President Duterte of sabotaging the talks. Our senior correspondent David Santos reports.
President Duterte finally makes good his threat to scrap the peace talks. He signed Proclamation 360 hours before it was made public late Thursday evening. While the move stunned peace stakeholders, Presidential Peace Advisor Jess Dureza calls for sobriety and understanding.
I'm sure itong ginawa niya na cancellation has a purpose. The ultimate end here will be to work towards peace.
But the President's counterpart in the talks, CPP founder Joma Sison, was not in an understanding mode, to say the least. In a statement, Sison lambasts the mental fitness of Duterte, his former student, for whom he had glowing words before. Sison calls the President's knowledge of the peace process shallow and defective, and even goes as far as to suggest that the President's men should consider replacing him. The communist movement said the President's decision to terminate the negotiations came when both peace panels had quietly agreed to resume the stalled peace talks in Norway before the end of the month. This would have been a major breakthrough, since significant agreements such as land reform and joint ceasefire mechanisms were on the agenda. The government panel would not confirm this.
Well, I don't want to disclose things that are not made public yet, but they're entitled to disclose what they think they should.
The non-stop NPA attacks, including one that killed an infant, Dureza says, prompted the president to end the talks. But SlSON says the AFP and PNP had committed far worse offenses, yet the left never threatened to abandon the negotiations. For Dureza, Proclamation 360 makes the cancellation of the talks final and executory. The National Democratic Front, which negotiates on behalf of the CPP-NPA, insists they need to be formally informed. Once acknowledged, a 30-day grace period has to be observed. Since the late 1990s, this is the first time the peace talks were terminated with the CPP, which has been waging one of Asia's longest insurgencies.
So don't give up. This is not the end of the road. This is just a roadblock. We can find other detours to go to our destination. Diba?
David Santos, CNN Philippines.
President Duterte says he canceled the talks with the CPP-NDF because he couldn't give what they wanted, a coalition government. Speaking at Camp Texon in San Miguel, Bulacan yesterday, the president explained why he signed Proclamation 360. Aside from the NPA attacks that were happening even amid negotiations, the left's proposal of a coalition government did not sit well with President Duterte.
I already noticed the trend of the thoughts of the other side. And when I sum it all, reading from all previous working papers, it would sound like a coalition government. That is why I said in the previous days, I cannot give you what I do not own. And certainly, a coalition government with the Republic of the Philippines is pure nonsense.
The president did not give details on this coalition government. He added he's ready to engage the NPA in war if that's what the communist rebels want. President Duterte also wants the surrender of 30 to 40 NPA leaders released from detention temporarily to take part in the peace talks.
And I am ordering those I have released temporarily to surrender or face, again, punitive actions. You have to go back where you belong. I released you because I thought it might help. Eh kung hindi makatulong, then you are undercutting me before the eyes of the Filipino people. You must be joking.
The CPP-NDF has said there is a process to be followed as far as the freed NDF consultants are concerned. President Duterte says government lawyers must first file the necessary motions in court. The armed forces expects the rebels to step up attacks against government forces. That's why the military will also intensify offensives.
Amin pong ine-expect yan, sila'y magpapakitang gilas, sila'y magpapahiwatig na nariyan pa rin sila. We have already provided the guidance to our units to be vigilant and stay alert pertaining to the movements of the NPA.
The military says there are some 3,800 NPA members. The intensified operations will also target criminals and rebels carrying firearms. Leaders of Communist Front organizations will also be arrested. Asked if this is a declaration of war, Padilla says they're simply performing their mandate.
Are we officially declaring war against these enemies in the state?
It is the mandate of the armed forces to go after criminals and illegally armed elements. So it is part of that mandate and we will fulfill it. You know, war may be called, whatever activities you do, you may call them war. But here we are performing on a mandate. So whatever it is that you term it, it is always in performance of our mandate.
Malacanang condemns the statement of 3 United Nations special rapporteurs on the country's anti-drug campaign. The government says it will never condone extrajudicial killings and tolerate human rights violations. The palace was reacting to the UN rapporteur's statement that a significant number of killings, which appear to be perpetrated by law enforcement officials and unknown assailants, have been reported to them. They called on the government to investigate the killings, bring perpetrators to justice, thoroughly review the current policy, and prevent further attacks. Malacanang adds it will not allow these biased individuals parading themselves as human rights experts to bully governments. Gilas Pilipinas begins its bid to enter the 2019 World Cup on a winning note. Gilas beat Japan Friday 77-71. Team Philippines controlled action in the first half, but Japan tried to take over in the second. Jason Castro led Gilas with 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. Andre Blatch added a double-double, 13 markers, and 12 boards. Up next for the Philippines is Chinese Taipei. That game is on Monday, November 27th at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. In other news, a video of internet sensation Xander Ford is circulating online. He refutes claims that he is missing, saying he's just tired and wants to take a break from show business for a few months. Last night, Xander's talent agency Star Image Artist Management claimed Xander was missing. They posted this poster on their Facebook page saying Xander was last seen at around 12 midnight Thursday and that some of Xander's guestings were canceled due to his disappearance. The talent agency also says it has sought police assistance from Imus Cavite Mayor Manny Maliksi to find Xander. We asked the agency about his latest video. They confirmed they have seen it but gave no further comment. Xander was a former member of the teen boy band #5. The internet star shocked netizens in October when he revealed his new look following plastic surgery. We're just days away from the much-anticipated Miss Universe competition in Las Vegas. Let's find out what are the chances of Rachel Peters winning the Miss Universe title. Our Christine Jacob Sandejas talked to her mentor. Watch this.
What competitive edge do you think she has over the other beautiful candidates from all over the world?
Number one, her body is to die for. She has an athletic, sexy body with infinite legs. Aside from that, she has a personality. And secondly, her walk, her stance, her presence on stage, it was purely, I can say, outstanding. The costume was designed by Val Taguba. So we asked Val Taguba to prepare sketches for the national costume. And he prepared several. And then when we saw this Golden Sarimanok national costume, Rachel and I readily agreed that this is it for her. We really wanted to be different this time and to highlight Rachel's body. In the coronation night, it's going to be very sexy, highlighting Rachel's figure.
How and will that affect what she will actually wear on coronation night?
Secret. So you just have to watch out what she's going to wear on the final night.
News overseas, authorities in Egypt are hunting down the attackers of a Sufi mosque in northern Sinai that killed at least 235 people. More than 100 were also injured when militants launched a bomb and gun attack on the Al Rawda Mosque during Friday prayers. This is thought to be the deadliest terror attack on the country's soil, and President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi vowed to respond with brute force. No one has yet claimed responsibility, but the strike bears the hallmark of ISIS. Zimbabwe's former Vice President Emerson Mnangagwa promises reforms to lift Zimbabwe out of poverty by eliminating corruption. He was sworn in as the country's new president following the resignation of Robert Mugabe. The swearing-in ceremony took place at the National Sports Stadium. 18 days ago, Mnangagwa was fired by Mugabe that set off a minor revolution, leading Zimbabwe to this point. His appointment brings the country in the grip of a new positive energy. People who have had no voice suddenly came back to life. Mnangagwa is the third president of the Republic of Zimbabwe. He spent most of his career serving Mugabe. She's not called the Queen of Christmas for no reason. Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas is one of the most played songs during the holiday season. Now it gets its animated film adaptation. Take a look.
I just love Christmas. I'm like, I thought everybody did.
I'm going to tell you the story of my first love. It happened at Christmas time.
As you pointed out, you've become sort of synonymous with Christmas.
I didn't point that out, and I don't know why anybody's saying that I did. I just love Christmas. It's just something that I look forward to every year. So I don't look at it. It's something that I wrote, and I'm thankful for it. And so now that it's become a movie, animated movie, and it's really for kids and for the whole family. So it's something that makes me feel proud that I was able to write a Christmas song, and along with my other catalog. And hopefully I'll keep being able to listen to it and enjoy the holiday seasons.
What are you looking for Christmas? What are you hoping for?
Happiness, and just really getting to have my own Christmas and enjoy the holidays.
Now in sports, it's Ateneo versus LaSalle again for UAAP supremacy. Our sports desk anchor Andre Felix has more on what to expect.
That's right, Maya. Another blockbuster finals in the UAAP is tipping off this afternoon. The Ateneo Blue Eagles and the defending champions, the De La Salle Green Archers, will battle it out for basketball supremacy for the second year in a row. Game 1 starts at 4 p.m. at the Mall of Asia Arena. Ateneo beat La Salle by a point in the first round of elimination games, but the Green Archers bounced back and shot down the Blue Eagles in the second round. Ateneo's SAKlT tells Sports Desk his thoughts on going up against La Salle in the finals again.
It's going to be a classic. Ateneo-La Salle rivalry is always the big one, and then you have two juggernauts going at it. A rematch of last year's finals. You have the MVP Imbala in one team. You have 30 in the 5 in another team. You have two coaches on each side ready to coach their way and help their team win. We like to think that we're a little bit more mature, a little bit more ready. We got 1 year of experience under our belt. We have another year with Coach Tab and the coaching staff teaching us new things, helping us improve.
As for La Salle's Richie Rivero, he shares his mindset heading into the championship series.
Sabi ni coaches namin, don't settle for anything less. So kami, sobrang yun, kaya may free time kami, extra talaga shooting and all skills para hindi mawala yung hindi mawala yung timing and and everything. Parang doon pa rin kami sa path na nakakapag-focus kami on studies, and at the same time parang nagagawa rin namin yung parang something to do for us to be able to improve a lot in basketball, ganun. Siguro dun sa performance-wise namin, parang mas pumped up kami pag Ateneo.
We have more of the week's top sports stories on Sports Desk Weekend. I'm Andre Felix. Mai, back to you.
So how did the rivalry between Ateneo and La Salle become the biggest thing in Philippine collegiate sports? Sports Desk correspondent Paulo Del Rosario gives us a closer look.
In UAAP Season 80, we will have another La Salle versus Ateneo Championship Series. Let's take a quick look back at the two schools' history in the UAAP. The rivals were reunited in 1986, when La Salle made the jump to the UAAP from the NCAA. It didn't take long for Ateneo and La Salle to meet in the finals. In the 1987-88 season, the Blue Eagles defended their crown against their longtime rivals. The next season, it was La Salle's turn to wear the crown. Then head coach Derek Pumaren led the Green Archers to their first ever UAAP crown against the FEU Tamaraws. Since the league entered the Final Four era in the 93-94 season, both La Salle and Ateneo have been constant title contenders in the league. La Salle leads the league in finals appearances with 16, while Ateneo follows in second with 11 in the Final Four era. The two teams don't just make it to the finals, they also win them. In their time in the UAAP, La Salle has won 9 men's basketball titles, while Ateneo trails closely with 8 of their own. A win for the blue side this year could see Ateneo even up the score. The saying goes that when it's Ateneo and La Salle playing, previous stats and records don't matter. Another saying from both schools goes, matalo na sa lahat, basta hindi sa kanila. In the coming days, it isn't just pride on the line. It is another championship. Paulo Del Rosario, CNN Philippines.
From Tsunami Walk to Cobra Walk, Our country's former bets in the Miss Universe pageant are known for their signature walk. This year, our Rachel Peters will do her so-called infinity walk to ace, hopefully, every round of the competition. Christine Jacob-Sandejas learns that straight from Rachel's mentor. Watch this.
Now we are here, and of course Rogel is going to teach us how it's actually done. How do we execute an infinity walk?
For Miss Universe, because Miss Universe has changed management, it's more of combined, being a beauty queen and being a model. That's what we did for Rachel, for her walk.
Oh my God, it's like, okay, oh, let's do this. Okay, now it's time for us to do the doctor. Guys, this is not easy. I don't know how these girls can do it with a smile on their face. And so, of course, the master himself, Rogel, said you always have to smile on stage. And now that I'm done with my brief beauty queen training with none other than Rogel Flores, it's now time for me to finally apply what I've learned on how to be a true beauty queen. Christine Jacob-Sandejas, Philippines!
Way to go, Christine. Beautiful. Now for Flores, the competition is tougher than ever, he says. This year, Miss USA, Miss South Africa,